Ladies and gentlemen,
This
welcome
meeting
to
is being recorded.
episode of a Wild Time podcast. Thank you all for tuning in again tonight. Thank you for tuning in to the previous episodes. I just had Mark Munoz on, the Filipino wrecking machine, UFC middleweight journeyman, fought who's who, and I have some more cool content coming this Friday night. UFC contender, heavyweight legend, I consider one of the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu heavyweights to ever get into the octagon. Gabriel Napao Gonzaga, one of my all-time favorites, will be on. But tonight, we have a little treat because joining me tonight is your mother's, well, let me get that right, your mom's favorite. I knew him back in the Hoss Cat Bad Henry days, but he has become Henry Shaw. He's always been Henry Shaw, but let me tell you something. This man has won tag titles in just about every company he's been in, and now he is the brains and the operations behind the hot new company, Allied Pro Wrestling. Not too new, but it's right now taking off big time. Corbin, you've got a big show coming up. Corbin, Henry, how's it going, my man?
What's up, man? How are you, brother?
Hey, man, I'm doing all right. It's finally good to have you on. We've been talking about doing this now for a while, and
yeah,
I was in the shower just a minute ago, and I totally forgot. We've been going back and forth all week, and I was like, Henry pops up. He's like, "Are we still good for 10?" And I'm like, "Oh man, I totally forgot about that." But no big deal. we can have a good time. Henry, tell us what's happening.
Well, like I said, or like you said, my name is Henry Shaw, your mom's favorite. 18-year pro wrestling veteran, multiple tag team titles, multiple heavyweight titles, just about almost everywhere I went. Undefeated in Canada, that is true. Been around for about 18 years in the business, promoting and booking for about over a year now. I own Allied Pro Wrestling, that used to be former Appalachian Pro Wrestling out of Pikeville, Kentucky. And we started last year in April was our first show in Corbin at the Corbin Civic Center. And we've been slowly trending, to get to better status of what we wanted to be. We ran 4 shows last year. 3 of those were in Corbin because we considered Corbin our foundation and hotbed. And then we decided to run in my hometown of Syersville, Kentucky back in November. That was a huge success. Awesome. We're planning to, we've got 4 shows lined up. We've got February 25th, which APW presents Back and Better will be in Corbin. On March 24th, we will be back in Syersville at North McGoffin Elementary School. April 15th, we will be celebrating our 1-year anniversary back in Corbin Civic Center. And just finalized today, May 27th, Boonesville, Kentucky, at the Owsley County Park and Recreation Center. Allied Pro Wrestling, we are running 4 times in a row, possibly 5 and 6. We'll just have to see what happens. It takes a little process to book these shows. Now, once you got to get your foot basically established and start building your trust with other places, because I will say this, that a lot of counties and recreation places, they don't trust wrestling. They don't trust the violence. I guess they think that Kentucky wrestling is not either good enough or is too violent. So, I've actually been turned down to book places that I know that do arts and crafts fairs and like little, they have gun shows one place. I'm going to say where it's at. The lady told me on the phone, says, we don't promote violence. But yet they have, they have a gun show 2 weeks later. But we'll see. We'll just see. We're going to get some areas. We're going to try to hit some areas that wrestling's not been around for a long time. Maybe around Central Kentucky. We're just going to see what we can put our foot in and go from there.
Well, I'll tell you, man, I was really excited when you reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in coming to Allied Pro Wrestling. I hadn't been in a ring in 3 years. I know how it is, because we done a BCW show at John M. Stumbo, which was, me and you had this talk in the back down in Syersville, how special it was to us, where we sit in those classrooms and we daydreamed about having a show, there. And when we did that at John M. and packed the house, that was an amazing feeling. So when we were down there in Sagersville, it was a show, man, that it sticks out to me. It's always going to be a special show to me because it was your hometown. You were good enough to invite me down, and it was a heck of a show. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah. Top to bottom, it was one of those that, you know, I've not been in a show in my hometown probably about 10 years. Yeah, probably about 10 years, I think. It was one of those things like, oh, I hope everything goes right, because if it don't, I will hear about this from friends and family like, that show sucked. But no, I've had people like emailing, texting, when you coming back? And then finally, when we finalized to come back in March, it's like it blew up even more. So we're hoping for a bigger crowd this time. I think the thing is, with like, a lot of people don't realize the way pro wrestling is, you've got the fans that's watching for all their lives, and that's all they know. But you also got the fans that start out in the indies watching the independent wrestling, and then they start working their way to like WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, you know, Impact, and NWA. But you also have those fans that are strict, nothing but TV. I can watch it on TV. Why do I need to pay and go get it? Well, I told one a couple of weeks back, you know, he basically messaged me out of the blue with a fan. Says, I can watch this on TV and be more entertained than being free. I said, well, if you want to be entertained, you never know what people you will see in the indies. You'll see, like, I saw them in Sarasville, I saw them in Berea, I saw them here, and now they're on the stage in WrestleMania or Dynamite or whatever. But, you know, they've got to start somewhere. Like 99% of the guys and girls that are in the biggest business, they start where we're at right now. Some never leave, some go on to bigger and better things, but you know, you got to start somewhere. And I know they're not going to promote a main eventer unless they have to experience or whatever. But you know, a lot of people don't give us credit which you sometimes the greatest matches in the entire world only like 20 and 30 people see. That's sad to me. Honestly, you know, like my greatest match I ever had in my entire life was probably in 2009 in front of 150 people. No one filmed it. But still, I mean, I got that memory. But, you know, the people, like I have people that I've wrestled shows with that's like, you remember back in 2009 what you did in Moorhead? I was like, yeah, I remember that. You know, that's one of the greatest moments of my life. But you know, you never know what you're going to see. And look, what it is, Kentucky had a bad reputation. Well, you know, Kentucky had a bad reputation for years for wrestling because a lot of times promoters would just, I mean, I hate to say it, would book anyone. Like, I'm a wrestler. Well, can you prove it? No. All right, come on in. But I try to put on the best matches. I try to match everyone up. And I like, you know, it's, you know, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I almost know everyone in the state surrounding area, and I want to put on the best match for the money for people to come out and see. I don't want people to be disappointed. That is the worst feeling in the world, is to see someone come in there and say that show was no good, because I'm trying to put on the best show I can. I try to match up people I think that would be the best fight, best match, whatever. And the sad thing is, you know, which a booker and promoter friend of mine that used to book me back in the day, I was like, I'm sorry if I ever caused you any anguish or anything like that, because this is a lot, you know, booking and promoting is a lot harder because you're trying to please everybody, but you can't. And I've had to turn a lot of people down, though, which I've been turned down myself on bookings and promotions and everything. But you know, this is my livelihood that I'm putting on the line here too. So I'm basically, I want to be fan worthy to where people were dying to get there. Now, am I there yet? No. Am I getting there? I'm hoping so. So, I mean, I'm trying to do my best, and like it's like a puzzle almost every day putting these matches together. You can't just throw two guys together and say, go out there and do it, because sometimes it doesn't work. This business is a lot different than any other business. You want to please everyone, and you want to please the workers, and you want to please everybody in the back. But other than that, you want to please the fans more than anything. So with that, you know, first time in 18 years that I get to actually book and promote, and I was thinking, oh, this is going to be so great. I can't wait to do this. This is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. I've learned a lot. I've seen a lot of things go on in the back that a lot of people don't really realize. And then I've also seen true colors of people because of now that I'm behind the desk, or in the gorilla, as we say. But now we're just taking it one day at a time, hoping for the best, and see what else brings in what we can do with it.
Well, man, you've always been super creative, had a lot of charisma, and just a fun human being. That's the thing.
Yeah.
If anybody asks me about Henry Shaw, I say, what's he like? Well, he's a fun guy with a big heart. And that's a guy you want to work for. That's a guy you want to go out there and you want to give everything you've got for. And if those fans in Sayersville, I can feel, when I come through that curtain, I can feel the energy. I've got that gift, I guess you would say. I feel pretty easy. And that crowd was hot. And from the start to the finish, and it's hard for me to imagine them not enjoying themselves. So Allied Pro Wrestling to me right now it's fun. You've got a heck of a locker room. Like, I was really impressed with your locker room, man. Like, from top to bottom, it was top of the line. I even made a really good buddy back there that I'd never met before. And now I talk to him pretty regular. Just a big dude, scary looking guy. And I think the world of him. But you've got a really good roster, and to bring it to Corbin. I've never worked in Corbin, and when you offered that to me, I said, heck yeah, I'll jump on that, man. I'm excited to go to Corbin, the home of the Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Well, funny story about that. So I won't say their names to save their reputation, but I had two guys from Ohio and one from California come down for a show. This is a shoot too. They get there and they said, hey, isn't this where Kentucky Fried Chicken is? I'm like, yeah. Like, oh man, we should have hit it on the way. I said, come with me. I took them. And they took a picture with every statue. They were just blown away. And like, the lady behind the counter looked at me and goes, first time in here? And I was like, yeah, it's their first time. And they, like, the museum, if you've never been, it's actually pretty neat. Like, these original kitchens in the back and everything. It's really, really neat. It's got his stuff from when they promote in Japan or other countries and everything like that. And then they've got stuff in there like from, I remember when I was younger, when the KFC was only one around KFC was in Prestonsburg. And I remember, going there and getting the little chicken biscuits. I remember that I would just lose my mind over. And yeah, the Chicken Little, yeah, whatever they was. But I remember those, back in the day. And they had them on display. I mean, they were fake. And I was like, I wonder if these are real. And like one of the guys, like, I would break this glass just to find out if they were real or not. But it's weird. Like, wrestling has these stories that no other sport has. Like, some of my greatest memories are on the road, especially like driving with Alex Angel and Rick Turner, and going to Ohio and driving all the way up to Zanesville and all these other places, and seeing on the way that Alex, I mean, what a funny story is, Alex never knew that a horse had horses had blankets, and he saw 3 horses with blankets, and I thought he was going to wreck because he had to turn around and go out and see it. I mean, it was just stupid things.
Like you said, the camaraderie, the brotherhood, man. I mean, just like, even if it's a trip like me and Mikey riding to Paintsville, or me and Kobe, or, God rest his soul, my best friends, Mitch, Colley, heading to Hazard, man. I mean, just the drives, like you said, and that's the things you remember, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you remember stuff in the locker room more than you remember what happens in the matches and everything. And just like, the old days when I first started, the big names, like, you see these guys on TV, these legends and everything. And the first big one that I ever met was Nikita Koloff. And I was thinking, this guy is one of the scariest men I've ever seen in my entire life, and was one of the nicest guys and told the greatest stories ever was. And, you got some of these guys that want to autograph everything. I just want to talk to these guys and, hear a story or two, or just like hear some funny things. That Ricky Morton, I could listen to Ricky Morton all day long.
I worked a show with Ricky over in it was in West Virginia. And I was like, I had the pinhead mask on, and he comes to the back and he said, I'm pretty pumped about this. And Ricky looks at me, and I'm telling you, if you've ever watched The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, the similarities between Ricky Morton and Mickey Rourke is crazy in that movie.
Yeah.
So Ricky looks at me and I've got this rubber pinhead mask on, and he's like, "Brother, you ain't gonna wear that, are you, at the match?" And I'm like, "No, man. And he said, "I'm just aggravating you." He said, "I didn't want to fucking go to grab a headlock and you get poked with it." And I was like, I was asking him about Rick Rude. Anytime I run into a legend and I start talking to him, I ask him to work with Rick Rude because everybody knows that's like my hero. And Morton was putting him over. He's like, "Was he one of your?" I was like, "Yeah, dude. He's the reason I'm in the business." And he said, "Man, Rude was a bad mother effer." He said that I've watched him break arms, arm wrestling. He said he wouldn't have been messed with. But you could, like you said, you could talk to those guys. That's what we want to do.
Yeah. Acts of Demolition had some great. Acts of Demolition. I met him in 07. And I was talking to him. He was a real nice guy. God, he was a giant of a man.
Yes.
And he talked about like the politics backstage, how like, a lot of them didn't deal with the politics and how a lot of them did. But like one of the old things he would say that if you went and done like an talent job or anything like that, and you tried to hurt one of the main guys, like I think he said somebody tried to hurt the Brooklyn Brawler. Like one time tried to hurt the Brooklyn Brawler, and Undertaker took that guy's clothes out of his gear bag and super glued him to the wall. I mean, they had their own justice back then. Like, you need to go home. And he went home, and he's here. This dude, who never got a job or anything, Brooklyn Brawler used to, hear the stories about Brooklyn Brawler. He would go back to Gorilla and give either the thumbs up or the thumbs down on the talent. That's how some guys got jobs and everything. Same thing with I think Barry Horowitz used to do in WCW. He was the guy of the up or down.
Yeah.
But hearing stories like that, I love that. Ricky telling all them stories about on the road. And I asked Ricky, I said, "Why'd you keep the mullet?" And he said, "There's not a pair of scissors on this earth that can cut this hair. That's the only reason he never got a haircut." And
you brought up Bill Eadie, Demolition Axe, and I got to meet him one time a few years back. And like you said, he was a giant man, but he was the sweetest dude ever.
Yeah.
I mean, he was, and I asked him, out of everything in the world to talk to this guy about, I said, I was like, "Dude, how did you get that role of No Holds Barred against Hogan at the start of it?" He said, "Nobody's asked me that." He said, "I'm going to tell you." He said he was offered to smash at first, and Hogan wasn't comfortable with him. He said Hogan was comfortable with me, and he said Hogan went to them and said, "I need Bill. That's who I want in this movie." And I was like, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, Darso." He said it wasn't that Darso was dangerous or nothing. He said he was just real comfortable with me. And if you hear people talk about Bill Eadie, honestly, it's almost like Sting. Nobody says a bad word about him.
No, I mean, you hear these, like you see these guys on TV when you're younger, and then you're working shows with these guys later on in your career. I mean, it's weird. Like Hacksaw Jim Duggan, that was one of those moments back in 2011. And, I didn't get to work or anything, but in the locker room, on that one, I mean, that one was it was like we went up and like, who's the best you ever worked with, or who's this, who's that? We're like, I actually working my team was, big business, and here's the usually 5 6 weeks. I mean, like I and everything. It's things with the Ring of Honor, all their stories. For his that Henry Shaw, your mom's favorite. decent job doing this.
I think we're having technical difficulties. I've totally lost you on the audio end. Can you hear me? Guys, we're trying to figure this out at the moment. Ask to unmute. All right, ask to unmute. Can you hear me now? Still struggling to hear you. Can you hear me, Henry?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're a little choppy, but we'll see.
All right, I hear you better. We're on a better. Looks like we're in a better situation at the moment. It was almost like a technical difficulty at the moment.
Just slow down.
I think our internet connection may be an issue at the moment. Everything was working good earlier, just a few moments ago. Choppy.
Want to from the phone? Try that. Doing my.
We can try that.
All right, let me download this thing right.
Okay.
Sorry.
So if this thing can hear me, what has happened is we were in the middle of a discussion and Henry starts talking.
We're in the middle of a discussion and Henry starts talking like Bruce Lee
in a Chinese movie.
A Chinese movie.
You can see his mouth moving.
You can see his mouth moving, but
we're trying to get it figured out right now, though.
We're trying to get it figured out right now, though.
And we're hanging tight until Henry gets his phone downloaded right now. So just bear with us for a few moments.
You sing a song if you. All right.
You sound good anyway.
Am I good to go, or think it'll be all right?
It's still choppy, but you're better. While he's getting it figured out, I would like to say February the 25th, Corbin, Kentucky at the Civic Center. Allied Pro Wrestling return. And it's going to be a hot night of action.
There you go. Plug the show. All right. Let me go in. Extending the one.
Like I said, we're experiencing technical difficulties, so hang tight.
Here's the fun part. There we go. Let's try this. Am I coming in through, or am I still bad?
You sounded really good there for a moment.
Sounded really good.
See this. What about now?
Very good, actually.
All right. There, I just killed the entire phone is what I did. How's that sound?
That's fine, dude. You're perfect. Actually, I sound good now. What did you do? Was this a rib from the get-go?
That's what I just did. What was the last thing I said? Now that we're back on.
The last thing we were talking about was just working with our heroes, basically, getting to pick their brains and be around them, not even caring about the match, but just being around them and talking, man.
Yeah, well, like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, like you know, some people, some of those guys inspire you to do better. Some of these guys, I mean, some of these guys that I met didn't realize that they were such big jerks, and that happens. You know, some of these guys got that superstar status, but you know, like one of the coolest dudes ever. I mean, this is the reason that, like I said a while ago, the reason that Henry Shaw, your mom's favorite, is what I am now is because of Adam Cole. When I went to the tryout and failed miserably and didn't make it, but you know, I saw a bunch of guys get signed that day. Like they actually pulled them to the side, and you could tell when they're pulling them to the side, they're like, oh, they're talking to them, and you can see like the looks on their faces, like, what? You know, they're getting ready to get called later on, and then you're seeing them on TV a couple weeks later, and I was like, man, I was at camp with him. And but Adam Cole, you know, we're shaking everybody's hand, leaving and everything, saying our goodbyes and everything, and this guy Adam Cole says, well, let me talk to you a minute. He said, loving the your mom's favorite, loving it and everything, but he said right now, he said that gimmick does not fit you whatsoever. Then I was wearing the cutoff t-shirt and the parachute pants that would make you lose about 30 pounds in one match. You know, it was like garbage pants and everything. He said, brother, you're going to have to wear tights. I said, well, I don't look good in tights. He said, well, make yourself look good in tights. And that right there was the drive on it. Flash forward to a year later, I went back up. Me and Crash Jackson went and tried out. And we, you know, we had new gear with our names on it and everything. And the first thing I never see, you know, I was going to, you know, shake my hand and say hi to him. And the first thing he says out of my mouth, he said, oh, now that is what you're supposed to look like. And then changed our persona a little bit, and we done the promos and all that stuff. And he loved our promo, especially, you know, especially our little cutoff. Even Kevin Kelly and Steve Corino loved our promos. We learned how to talk up there. You know, they were drilling us left and right. You know, some of these promos these guys were talking about were the same thing over and over. And me and Crash looking at each other like, we need to do something different. And, you know, we did something different. And, you know, lo and behold, you know, it changed us, you know, what we are and everything. We actually talked on the way back home, you know, like driving home, and like we were practicing promos on the way home. But, you know, speaking of, you know, Crash, you know, Crash has made a name for himself lately. You know, Crash has got to wrestle some big names here lately. And, you know, around like Pro Wrestling Revolver and Impact, you know, he's done all these things. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if old Crash has made it to the big time one day. So, I mean, he's got the right, you know, he's got the right guidance up there with Sammy Callahan and Jake Chris and everything. But, you know, we'll just have to see what that goes. I mean, you just never know. You know, guys you wrestle with, work with, you know, will end up in the big times because they were influenced by one of the big names and everything. So, you know, working with your heroes, they could be one of the best things ever, or they could be one of your worst nightmares too.
You know, Crash is so athletic to be a bigger guy, heavyweight, super heavyweight, and he's so agile. And I think that's a testament to his football playing days and everything else. I always enjoyed working with you guys. And Crash, you could tell that, you know, he's still young enough too. You know, he's still got some years left in the tank.
Yeah, that
always
that college football helped him out big time, especially with his speed and everything. Like he got really, really fast from
from college, when he played college ball. But I mean, he knew that eventually he wanted to start wrestling, and actually he started going to BCW shows just to hang out, because there's some guys that he was, hanging out with, going, that's how he started. And, lo and behold, he's passed me, he's definitely passed me, because, I saw some good things in him. That's one reason I took him under the wing.
Yeah.
And I told him once that you ever get the opportunity to go, you go. And he did. He did it. He took it and he went. And, I got no regrets whatsoever. And every time I see him on like a big poster, like he's working in Vegas or he's working up in the Northeast or, Michigan, Chicago, you work Chicago, you got to be pretty good to work Chicago. Yeah. And, just like, basically like your little brother or whatever, like, yeah, he's got it, he's working that and everything. So I'm really, really proud of him, which I've told him that many, many times. And he's like, you're lying, bro. You're lying. That's what he says. But, I mean, you can't help it, when I asked him to come work Sayersville, I said, you want to come work Sayersville? And he's like, duh. So, he took time out of his busy schedule to come down there and do the show for Sayersville, which I think that was a big thing. One of our big turnouts was because of him too. And man, I mean, well, they joined us at the very end, that night. So everybody was like, when's he coming back? When's he coming back? But, sadly, he's booked on that next Saturday.
I can remember when he moved up to Dayton and just, he finally, I mean, he went all in, I guess you would say, man, and really tried. I mean, he's, like you said, he's getting booked everywhere. I mean, and that just goes to show that if you've got the heart, the determination, and the love for it, you can do it. I mean, and being athletic as heck like he is, that's a plus.
Yeah, I mean, it's where he, he started riding with, he started going up with, when Larry D was started going up to Dayton and Pro Wrestling Revolver out in Iowa, and he started riding with Larry. And then he just started making connections up there. And next thing you know, he moves up there with a bunch of guys, and they basically train night and day at Rockstar. And lo and behold, that's why Crash is that good. So I mean, he put in the effort, he took the time and done it, and then now he is where he is.
Well, I tell you what, Henry, before we get off here, give us a rundown of the Corbin show. Give us a rundown. Tell us the matches, what we got going on. Because let me tell you something right now. John G, I've got nothing but respect for him. Honestly, like this is a competition to me at this point. This ain't personal or nothing. I want to test myself against this dude. He's been everywhere. I mean, he's been Japan, Texas. He's experienced a lot of guys. But something he's experienced is a psychotic madman that is liable to eat his face off in the middle of the ring. So I don't know that he has been in a situation with somebody quite like myself.
Yeah, he is one of those, I guess you could call it, diamond in the rough. He's a big dude, and most of the time when they see big dudes, they think slow. But this kid is not slow at all. He's very fast for his size, and he's very, very powerful. Like his punches are dead on. Like if he hits you right on the button, even if it's on the button, you're done. I mean, you're gone. But no, in Corbin, we've got you and Big John G. Big John G is one half of the APW Tag Champions, and you'll be taking him on, which, I mean, that's going to be one of the tests of your career at least. We've also got number one contenders for the tag team titles. We have Doomsday and Adrian Alexander taking on Arcade Hangover of Justin Xavier and Party Mike Howard. That's going to be probably one of the matches of the night. Special ladies match, we have all the way from Chattanooga, Tennessee, we have Bashley Bones going against Nurse Micah. So we've got two veteran ladies that are getting ready to go at it. We also have myself, Henry Shaw, your mom's favorite against the Golden State God, Carson Drake. Now, the only thing I can say about Carson Drake is he has a big mouth and a lot of blonde hair. And so, I mean, that's the only thing he's got going for. No, that kid is coming up in the Indies big time. I just seen he came out from a tour in Vegas recently. So Vegas and Salt Lake City are in Colorado, a few places. He's been out there a few times. We also have Josh Williams as taking on Brandon Wolf, which that'll be a high-paced action match. But the main event, this is going to be the match to talk about.
They'll be the first round of the best of 3 series for the APW heavyweight title. First match will take place in Corbin on February 25th. The second match will take place on March 24th in Sayersville. And if it goes, if it goes to a third round, the third round will go to April 15th in Corbin, the 1-year anniversary. The matches have not been picked, but Marty Clay will be taking on the APW heavyweight champion, Marvelous Marcus Johnson. There will be a special contract signing. Make sure that both guys are on point, which I've met with the lawyers of APW and then all the staff and everything to make sure that these guys do what they're supposed to do, which I know Marcus will. Marty's a little bit angry here lately, so he thinks he's been cheated. So he wants one match, but no, he's getting the best of 3. Well, first he wanted one match, but now he's getting the best of 3. So we may see his confidence or his cockiness play into effect. But, we'll see. That'll be the main event for that night. And honestly, I can't honestly wait for this because, this is one of those things that you book that you can't wait for.
What kills me is you take somebody like Marty who is so gifted and athletic. They don't need to do what they do, like attacking the Marvelous One like he did. He didn't have to do that. All he did was
that was one of those weird things about it. Marcus came up there and worked that show for the Scott Diamond, the Scott Diamond Bash, and basically they in the locker room, you keep separate of everybody, especially guys you don't like, and they literally didn't speak, look at each other. Actually, Marty stayed off to an area by himself. And lo and behold, Marcus decided to say a few words about the match and everything. And Marty took a cheap shot, and now we're here.
I'll tell you what, I'm excited. I'm really excited about that because 2 athletes of that caliber going at it in the ring, the fans and the boys are going to have a really good viewing. It's going to be fun for a wrestling fan.
Yeah. We also, not fail mention or anything, but now we have a special ticket price for everything. We used to have, front row seats and everything, but every ticket in there is going to be $10.
Beat that.
No matter where you sit, first come, first serve in the front row, but no matter where you sit, everything's going to be $10. So we got a special thing going on. So we're wanting to pack out Corbin like we did last year. So we're hoping, us not being there for a long time, that Corbin will be back winning us some full shams and all that jazz, and not to mention the concessions of the hot dogs and all that good jazz.
All right, listen, before we get off here, I've got fast questions. So you say
Go ahead.
Answer first. Favorite pay-per-view of all time?
Favorite pay-per-view of all time, ECW One Night Stand 2005.
Pretty good. Favorite faction of all time?
Favorite faction of all time. Oh, that's a good one. Just before they exploded, the Mega Powers.
Ooh, another good one. Favorite Intercontinental Champion of all time?
Oh.
The workhorse of the company.
Oh, Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect.
Excellent choice. Excellent choice. It's hard to argue that, Rude to me, I'll always say Rude, but honestly, Hennig was the guy. He was, when you think Intercontinental Champion, you think Hennig. Favorite tag team.
Hennig.
Go ahead.
But, Hennig was so underrated. It was, sad that, he never held a heavyweight title, but he was that good. He didn't need it.
He didn't need it.
No, he didn't need it. He was perfect. He didn't need it. Favorite tag team. I don't care, even though they never made the WWE, I saw them with my own eyes a couple times and actually worked a show with them once. Jay and Mark Briscoe.
The Briscoe. And, it's such a tragic event, what happened just a few weeks ago. But they were so over with the boys and every company that you can tell the respect is unbelievable that guy had.
Oh, they were at that second trial that me and Crash did, they pulled us aside and talked to us about our things and everything. And Jay, here's the sad part, I could hear Jay's voice. talking about my leg drop. And that's something I'll never ever forget. He said, "Brother, you hit that leg drop. I thought you knocked that boy's head off." And I mean, I understand, like, how do you do a gimmick of rednecks from Delaware? I mean, I was like, is there rednecks in Delaware? He said, "Yeah, us." And I was like, okay.
The last one I'm going to ask you is, I'm not going to ask you who your favorite wrestler of all time is. Who influenced Henry Shaw more than any professional wrestler ever?
Influenced. Are you talking about like the character, or just wanting me to get in wrestling? Period.
There you go. Who was it that you watched and grew up and you were like, that dude right there is the reason I'm going to get into this?
Triple H.
Triple H. Great.
Yeah, Triple H around the early 2000s. Cerebral Assassin, those days, when he brought the hand with, like, one of my favorite memories ever is, well, in the business, we love when the crowd goes nuts.
Yes.
And when he came back in Madison Square Garden, and I remember the jacket that he wore, and because we talked about it at school, we was like, man, I would give anything for that jacket. But turns out it was just a leather jacket with a vest over top of it. That's all it was. Yeah, the denim vest and everything. And when he came back from that quad surgery, man, I was like, oh, I'm so happy to see him. And then he cut on the crowd. He poured heat on him, and I was like, oh, okay, never mind, he's good.
Man, there wasn't a better heel in the early 2000s than Triple H. One of my favorite matches of all time in anything was Vince McMahon and Triple H at Armageddon. That match, Vince took some crazy bumps. Triple H grabbed the machine gun that was up the front. He spun it around and it hit Vince. And I'm telling you, I don't know how to take his head off.
Well, it's like, a lot of people hate Vince, especially his creative ideas and everything, which I can get, some of them are like a little out there and everything. But when the man worked.
Yes.
And he always got beat half to death. Like, I saw it at Backlash in 06. I was there at Backlash when Shane went to hit Sean with the chair and Sean ducked, and Vince took that full on, bam, on the head. Oh my gosh. I'll never forget that ring as long as I live.
Vince took some bumps, man. I mean, that's what you can say. But I got to thank you for coming on tonight. Like I said, we've been wanting to do this for a while. It's always good to hang out and talk, even though I do owe you 7 cents right now for my boots.
Well, before you go, let's tell this story before you go.
So I was wearing a pair. Listen, when I first got into the business, I was in BCW, and I had a pair of Magnum boots. Were they Magnums? They were cheap military boots that I wore for my character.
They were deadly, is what they were. I mean, I'm surprised you didn't kill nobody with them. Honestly, I was like, he's going to boot somebody and they're going to be dead, and then they're going to be blood everywhere, and commission's going to go nuts, and then we're hit, and we're done.
So we're in a trailer at Martin, and it's 120 degrees, and there Bobby Fulton's beside of us. I think he's sweating and going on, and I think Bart Matt was back there. But anyways, we're crowded in this trailer, and Henry is trying to sell a pair of boots. He's got an extra pair of boots. And I think I can't remember I think he wanted $40 for them.
No, you had 40. You remember? I sold them for $50 is what I sold them for. You had $49.13 is all you had. And you said, I will give you the money. I was like, don't worry about it. And for about 6 months, you would bring me pennies at a time. Here, I found some 3 pennies in my pocket. Here you go. And I think over the years, you end up owing me 8 cents is what you owe me. And then you're like, I owe you 8 cents. Like, you messaged me out of the blue one time. I mean, I hadn't seen you in years. I remember you messaged me out of the blue. I think it was my birthday or something. Happy birthday, big guy. I still owe you 8 cents. Something like that. I was like, oh my gosh, he still owes me some boots. Do you even have them anymore? Or do you still?
I'll never get rid of them. Those boots to me was everything that they were pretty. They were black. I actually had a lot of work done to them.
Yeah, I hope so. My calves are about as big as your head over there. I mean,
I had the seam put in the back of them, brought them closer together. I love those boots. They got like red paint stains on them. I mean, they're me.
They do. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, I was like, you ruined my boots. Is what I said to you. I was like, you ruined them. You know,
But no,
and
hey,
once,
listen, that was, I'll keep those boots and wear those boots. Like I said, I love them, but I still do owe
you
you
know, that,
7 cents.
yeah, that was the first pair of wrestling boots I ever owned too. I had bought them in custom. I had, you know, well, of course, my legs, if you look at my legs, they're the size of tree trunks. But I bought those boots in '05. I actually had them custom made out of Mexico. And literally, I wore them, God, probably about 10 years. And then I was like, I want a different pair. I want a different pair. And then I sold them to you, and the pair that I bought turned out to be junk. And then I had to buy another pair. And then I have no idea. I've got one left. I don't know whatever happened to that one. And I might have left it somewhere. I think I left it up in West Virginia or Ohio or something. And I ended up buying a pair of boots about 3 years ago, custom made boots that I'll never, ever let go. I mean, these are perfect. They don't crease, they don't do anything. And everybody's like, oh, I'll buy them boots off. People like, no, these are mine. Nobody's getting these. But no, you know, if you wrestle enough, you'll wear them out in no time. And, you know, it's just, you've got to take care of them too. If you don't take care of them, they're going to break apart and fall apart and everything. But yeah, you still owe me 8 cents, and I'll remember that next time and everything.
Listen, if the good Lord blesses me to make it to Corbin, I'll bring 8 cents. You will get your 8 cents in Corbin, Henry.
Yeah, you ought to make a T-shirt and start selling them. I owe Henry Shaw 8 cents. You know, like nobody knows what they are, but you'll be selling them hotcakes. I'll buy one. You know?
Hey guys, listen. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Your mom's favorite, Henry Shaw, the Allied Pro Wrestling head Rod, the Godfather. Thank you. Hey, listen. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Rainbow Rose, the soap, the body butter, the lip balm, all the horror T-shirts. They have a great selection. Go to Facebook, Rainbow Rose. Check them out. Henry, it's always good, and I will see you February 25th, my man.
All right, and we'll see you later. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. Take it easy. Subscribe and like.